Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of the microscope series. Let's jump right in. So if you saw part 1, which I'll link below, you saw how my idea for the microscope slides came about and how to make microscope slides or faux microscope slides without using a kit. In this video, we're going to use my kit under the microscope to make the second batch of slides. Again, I originally started my junk journal journey without kits and have since realized that there's a place for them, and I enjoy making projects both with and without kits. So the first part was without a kit, and the second part right here is with a kit. So in this kit, I already have samples of genuine Victorian microscope slides that I'm just cutting out. I'm simply cutting out the images from my kit, and I'm going to be making a variety of different types of slides today. This will be a much shorter video because I think it's pretty straightforward. Some of them are see-through, some of them are not see-through, and once again, we'll be using a lamination machine. So before we use the lamination machine, I'm going to take some laminated skeleton leaves and dandelion seeds that I did earlier in the season. And I'm going to use them for the small slides that have the blank centers. So this is a very highly decorative Victorian slide. It's a genuine copy of a slide, and I'm just taking a hole punch and punching out the center of this decorative slide paper. And I set it up in the kit so that you can cut it out, you can punch it, and then you can fold it over. And then I'm just sliding that little piece of laminated dandelion in that small center so that there's a little tiny window with a natural element in it. I like to use double-sided tape when I'm trying to place small pieces of acetate or laminate like this, because the glue won't spread and it will hold the laminate exactly where I want it. And then I'm just finishing it with a glue stick. Then now we'll trim out the whole slide, taking off the little fold space there. I don't need that anymore now that it's lined up. And I'm just going to trim it and ink around the edges. I've seen these actual slides in person with these tiny little holes, and they are just so cool because there's just a tiny little window with a tiny little sample. I also have this dark maroon one in my kit as well, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold it over, I'm going to punch the center, and then I'm going to put a little tiny piece of lamination that already has an embedded piece of leaf in it, a little piece of skeleton leaf. I'm just going to have the tip of the leaf poking into the little window. I'm going to line it up exactly how I want it. Then I'll trim the lamination down. And again, I'll do the exact same process. I'm going to put it in place and put some double-sided tape down and stick that lamination exactly where I want it on the window. And then I will take glue stick and seal it together. And I do use a little bit of inking inside, as you can see, just so that there isn't any of that, white edge of the cut paper that shows through. So I'm going to put the double stick tape on, and I have such a hard time peeling it. Does anybody else? If you have a trick to get the top of double-sided tape off, please share it with me. I feel like I avoid double-sided tape for this reason, and it can be so versatile. Maybe it's the brand I'm using, maybe I'm just missing a hack, but I struggle with it. So anyway, I'm just doing a little bit more inking, and then I will glue this piece together and seal it and trim it and ink it. And then this slide will be done. I have to say, with a kit like this, you can knock out a whole bunch of slides in an extremely short amount of time. So I've just done my 2 little window slides, and then now I'm going to take the slides that are not transparent, that I just simply cut out of the kit, and I'm going to put marbled paper on the back. I am using a marbled paper kit from Mad Paper Crush. I'll put the link below. Very, very versatile kit, but you could use any kind of paper on the back. You could use scrapbook paper, you could use tea dye paper, You could use a book page. Really, anything with a pattern on the back, I think would work super well. And one of the things that I did wrong in this little process that you're seeing is I did not trim out the marbled paper before I started using it. So I still had that little edge of white around the outside because it is a kit. Do you see that little edge right there? And now I'm realizing it has a little white edge, and I'm a little annoyed at myself. So I'm going to cut another strip of paper and put that on top of it just so that I don't have to deal with that white edge. But you're going to see the white edge come and play a little later on in the video. You'll see how it ends up being a happy accident in the end. But that is the one thing, if you're using a digital, that you should be mindful of, is that you should trim off all the white edges before you use it as a backing paper, because you don't want to have to deal with, you know, an unexpected white edge later. So I'm just laying these slides on strips of different marbled paper. The kit I'm using, I think it's called All the Marbles, has like a half a dozen different marbled papers. So I had printed those out ahead of time. And I really like the versatility of being able to match up the color palette of the front of the slide with a paper, a marbled paper that can reflect those colors. You can also order marbled paper online. You can go to craft stores, etc. And like I said, you can use any patterned paper, book page. Just be creative. It doesn't have to be the way I'm doing it. You could also print out your slides on cardstock, which will make them a lot sturdier than just printing them on regular copy paper. Because I'm throwing them through the laminator, I don't feel it's that important. But maybe you don't want to laminate them. If you don't, then you would want to use a cardstock. So this slide here, I'm about to punch the center, and I decide I'm going to do something different with this slide. So I'm going to put it aside, and we'll revisit it very soon. So now I've pretty much backed all of my slides with a backing paper, in this case marbled paper. And now I'm going to trim it closer to the edge, and I'm just going to trim out the slides so that they're all separate. And, you know, this very easy. This is the type of project you could do while you're watching another video, while you're listening to a podcast. You could even pre-prep these and then cut them out when you're watching TV at night. This is something that you could definitely mass produce. I like the idea of slides because of their shape. They would make wonderful tags. They would be great in a journal with a brad to show some movement. There's so many things you could do with these microscope slides. I just think that I've just started to scratch the surface with what I can do with them. So now that they have all been pretty much mounted, I'm taking this last one with this teeny tiny center, and I could have just kept it the way it was, but I've decided to take my little scissors and cut the hole out. I want to see how tiny I can go, and if I can put something really small in the center of this window, because I think this will make the slide really cool. And this is what's so much fun about these microscope slides, is that you can just make so many different things. And yep, I'm just mounting on a teeny tiny window and putting on a little bit of double-sided tape, and, you know, having a little bit of trouble with the double-sided tape. And then I'm just going to place that on and then mount it on, I was going to mount it on a piece of paper, and then it's going to make it not see-through, right? That's pretty silly. I've just gone to the trouble of making it a see-through window, and then I'm mounting it on paper, and I don't realize it. I need to repunch that back of that paper, which I think I do off camera in the end, but you just saw me do it now. So if we don't revisit that, just be wary. If you punch out a front, you need to punch out the back. Okay, so now we are just trimming out the last little bits and pieces. I've picked out a new color with blue on it that helps, that I think complements the blue on the front, the blue-green on the front of these two slides. So these will be a different shade and palette, which I really like. I like that there's a variation in color and theme in the different microscope slides. And now I'm going to mount that larger one on some marbled paper. So now that the bigger one is cut out, I'm going to look at what I have, sort my different slides, and just trim them, clean them up a little bit. Now I can just get the final touches done to them. I will be trimming all the edges and inking them, just checking the backs. And I'm going to notice, though, that white lip. Remember the white lip I was telling you about? Because I didn't trim out my paper because it was a kit and I didn't take off the edges. Well, I'm just going to simply put a little bit of Tim Holtz washi tape on top, and that's a really easy fix, right? Well, then I have a little extra left over, and I know I have another white seam somewhere I can put it on. This one has a slight white bit, so I decided to put it on the edge of this microscope slide. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing I really like that little detail. I think it makes the backs look a little bit more interesting. Yes, I have to cover some of the white edges that are on some of the backs, but then I start making the decision to put tape on a lot of the backs, even not the short way, the long way. It's just a little extra detail for this little embellishment, and I'm kind of digging that mistake. I'm seeing that without that mistake, I probably wouldn't have done anything on the back, and I really like the addition of the washi tape. So now that the washi tape's on, I'm going to edge all of the slides because they have all that little white edge from cutting them out, and I am going to get them ready for the final step. Remember that slide that had the red labels on it? I'm going to do one additional type of slide. I put marbled paper on the back of the pink label on the back of that slide, and now I'm going to cut off the top and the bottom. I know that seems kind of weird, but you'll see what I end up doing. And then I'm going to cut out the center of that slide as well. I'm going to cut out the circle, and the reason why I want to do this is because I want to make a translucent slide that looks like a glass slide with those labels on it. I just think it'll be a more effective use of that slide. So now I have a stack of all my slides, and I have the pieces and parts for that one slide, and I'm going to take out my lamination machine and a lamination pouch. I'm going to take that pink slide, the last microscope slide that I just cut out, and I'm going to line it up in the edge of the pouch, right in the seam. That'll help it keep it straight and keep it sort of locked in. And then I'm going to place the rest of the microscope slides on the lamination pouch. I keep wanting to say microwave. I don't know. I guess it's just because I don't say microscope a lot in my normal life. So I'm going to take all the slides and just lay them in the pouch, and I'm going to run them through the laminator. It doesn't really matter if I have them on here completely straight. I just need enough space between them to trim them. So once they're pretty much in the right place, then I will run the pouch through the laminator. I'm making sure that one slide that has the 3 parts to it is really in the crease. And now I'll run it through. And as you can see, I put it in the right side with the pouch side through first, and they're coming out the other side, and just, they look great. They look like glass even though they're not glass. You know, they have that very clear, translucent, shiny, glossy look as glass, but totally safe, totally not glass, totally a paper embellishment. Now I'm just trimming them down a little bit so that I can get them in my little cutter, and I'm going to use my paper cutter to cut the edges because I want them to be super straight and clean. I want the cuts to be really clean, but I just needed to trim them down first so I could get nice up close and personal with them. And there it is. I just love that little window guy. He's so cute. And I'm just going to cut out all of the slides one by one. And in a really short amount of time, I was able to crank out a decent amount of microwave. See, I'm doing it again. Microscope slides. Look how cute they are. I just love them. I love the variety of colors in them. And with yesterday's batch, together with yesterday's batch, I'm going to have a whole variety to choose from for my upcoming project. And I'm going to show you them a little bit closer. The ones that are not translucent, the ones I simply cut out, they look great. They make terrific tags or great little elements to stick in a tuck spot. And then I have my little window. Well, no, those aren't either. Those are also ones I just cut out and backed. And here are my little window ones. I just think they're sweet. I almost could see them hanging off a tassel too. There's so many things we could do with them. They could be great bookmarks as well. So that's today's collection of microscope slides. And in the next video, we are going to put all of these slides into an amazing project. I can't wait to show you. It's so much fun, and it's got a little story to it. So join me in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.